This is Education Sector Television International, ESTV. Good morning to you all. And the program is One Citizen of Greater Values. This morning, I am with an admirable personality, very passionate about education in Nigeria. My guest this morning has contributed a quota to the education growth of Lagos State. In fact, I am referring to the immediate past Commissioner for Education, Lagos State, Mrs. Folasade Adefisayo. The facts and figures are there for you to check our records. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, ma'am. I feel honored to be with you this morning.
It's a pleasure. I'm happy to. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, well, let's start this way. A lot of quarters believed that you performed wonderfully well during your tenure in the office as the Commissioner for Education, Lagos State. What exactly did you do well?
It's a big job. There are many ramifications to it. So, but as an educationist, I always like to look at number one, improvement in learning outcomes, because that is why children go to school, so that they can do well and be prepared for the next stage in their lives. So I think, for instance, for WAEC results, we were able to push it from about 39–40% to nearly 80% pass. And of course, the objective was to get to 100, because why should any child fail if we taught with our curriculum, taught by our teachers, and if we're supporting them well enough. So that's and even at the primary school, a lot of concern with literacy and numeracy of children, so that they're able to read as early as possible and develop the skill of reading and lifelong. So I think for me that was number one. Number two were other things like infrastructure. The governor was very, very passionate about us improving infrastructure, so building new schools, which had not happened for a long time. Especially along the Lekki axis, very proud of the Elemowo school, because the new school in that axis, and children were going long distances and crossing Lekki Expressway. So again, things like that, building new schools, infrastructure, supply of desks and chairs, as many as 300,000. Of course, it didn't cover all, but a significant proportion. But like I said, for me, it's always let's improve the school experience for children. And of course, we were able to support the school heads again with things like their monthly allowances, which are really quite small, but large enough now to do more things. So they were able to do more things because the improvement in results, because there were more than 20 strategies. Extra classes, supporting teachers, buying past question papers, asking consultants to support us in teaching the students specialist subjects, having a very good teacher both from school to school, all these things cost money. And we were able to do that from the monthly allocation that was given to them, which is still not great. I mean, I worked in a private school. It's still very small for me, but it went a long way. But another thing is the comprehensive schools that we tried to set up, which was essentially saying that every child should be with a skill. We piloted in about 12 schools with 5 major disciplines, which was IT, construction, fashion and design. I'm forgetful.
Under vocational education.
Yeah, but we don't want it to be. I didn't believe in vocational education being in just a few technical colleges, but that every school should be able to teach a child a skill, so that every secondary school or primary school, as they are living, they have a skill. They don't need to make money from it, but there's nothing like even being a mother in the house and sewing your children's clothes or something. So a lot of work done on the curriculum. The curriculum review was another great one that I was happy with, where we said, look, the schemes of work, we are going to radically transform them and include things like 21st century schools, digital links. So, and they've been taught by a lot of schools who have really valued the fact that you now teach in a more interesting way, merely because you change the way you put the scheme of work. So there are lots of other things, support for the teachers. Teaching a great profession, but never treated as such. And now Lagos State is excited that the teachers, annual Teachers Merit Award, where the government gave them cars, 13 cars given every year for a very transparent process. No member of the ministry, no member of government was part of the committee. There were private individuals, private school owners, and so so. And a lot of things done. I can go on and on and on for so many things. But I think those were for me the major ones: the learning outcomes, the comprehensive schools, the curriculum review, so that school became more interesting for the children. So,
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Irrespective of all these success stories, we still believe that Lagos State has some key challenges in the education sectors. What are the key challenges that you were able to identify and resolve?
I've mentioned some of these. I don't want to
yes, I still want you to talk about the major challenges. Maybe some of them, okay, like they talk about schools in the rural areas not being measuring up to schools in the urban area. Were you able to touch some rural areas?
Of course.
Okay,
there's no part of Lagos State I did not go to. I went to.
Can you give us instances?
I mean, there are schools deep in Badagry that we were able to do a lot of work on. What do you call it? Akarakumo. A lot of schools are already deep inside Badagry where we were able to at least do up the buildings.
You talked about Badagry. You still say the same as Araromi.
There's Araromi in Lugbu, Badagry. There's Araromi here too.
Okay.
But the Araromi that I'm talking about is the one in Badagry side. Yeah. So building up the schools, doing up the schools, a lot of work. You see, the infrastructure, it's spread across all the 6 districts that we have. Almost every school was touched, except because of furniture, the delivery of furniture. Even in deep Ikorodu and places like that, to ensure that there was at least equity in the delivery of furniture. It's not perfect, it's not undone. These are things that you start and they continue. It's the continuation of it that matters. It's not that we started. This year again, another set being done next year. That's how you improve, because the problem is so deep and has been for many years. You can't solve it. I was commissioner for less than 4 years. You can't solve it in 4 years. So, but every year should just be better than the previous year. That was just the
okay. And looking at the areas of laboratories, the ICT lab, physics lab, biology laboratory, even technical laboratories. Were you able to touch all these areas?
Of course, that is why I said infrastructure.
Okay.
So you know, the time is too short, and I don't like boasting. I don't even like talking about myself. I'm not enjoying this conversation because I rarely talk about myself.
Mommy, it is important.
I mean, people can say what they like. I know what I did, but it's the thing that I keep telling you is every year there was a budget for improving labs. But it has to keep going on. So you can't look at 1 year and say, you put it at the half years, were you able to? Yeah, we did what we could, but it's a continuation of it
that matters. Yes, mommy, we need to allow you to say certain things out for the populace to know what is on ground, what you were able to do. A lot of people don't read. A lot of people don't have access to electricity to watch their television. A lot of people are too busy to even know what is going on around the government, and when they talk, you see a lot of criticism going. But when you have this opportunity of telling the public what you were able to do, that is why we keep on asking these different questions today.
You can continue, but
yes, so please, my apologies for you that
you are a very private person.
You are a public figure,
not everyone.
In the education sector. You were the commissioner for education for 4 years. Okay, Mommy, I want you to talk about corruption in the education sector generally. We believe it is a pain in the heart that is actually drawing us back. Is there anything that we can do to solve this problem?
It's a big problem. Yes. What I see is we get what we ask for. We get what we want. There are many ways that this happens, of course, like when you say go and do a school, it costs a certain amount, but of course they loaded so much into it, and there's so many people along the way who are taking money out of it. So at the end of the day, you don't get value for the building. Of course, there are things like ghost children in schools, people exaggerating numbers so that they can get more money. So, well, how do you solve it? I think it's a societal problem all the way. I think I personally believe we are getting what we want as a society because we are not fighting it properly. You can't blame government or who is the person who goes to a school and bribes the principal? Is it not a parent? Who is the person who goes and says, help me, who gets somebody to help the child sit for my head? Is it not the parent? It's a whole societal problem. And until we address the societal values, our extreme regard for money, our extreme regard for the things that are mediocre, we are playing in the mediocre stakes. That for me is what I see. We play in the mediocre part of everything. If we were gunning for excellence, there are many things as a society we would not stand for. We are living in a community. They said they built a school. I remember the time of the former minister of This is the amount you spent on this. Go and look at the school. Is it reflecting what they said they would spend? Then we shout about it, but we are getting what we want, and that's my honest belief that all of us are in the whole thing, and so what we have is what we asked for. And the day that we say we are not taking this and we fight corruption in every way, at every level, then it will stop. If somebody asks you for something and you refuse to take it, you refuse to give, you refuse to take. But if you don't, you are even regarded as a fool. So the values of society are impacting everybody. So for me, I do.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Ma. Recently, there is an information that says from the federal government that 20% of the students that wrote the UTME examination will move to tertiary institution. So I wonder what the remaining 80% will be doing. What is your take on this?
What do you want them to do? You can't do more than your capacity. The carrying capacity of our universities is less than 700,000. 2.something million children do jump every year. But there is nothing you can do. Only about 700 I don't get admission. So first of all, there are not enough schools. There are not enough institutions. And there is not enough being done to address this. Out of school is not just primary school children. It's also these young people who have a bleak life ahead of them because they are able to get into tertiary institutions. But technology for me can cure a lot of the things that we are talking about. I've seen that, and you don't have to go to university. If we were valuing other professions. I watched a young man on TV. They asked him, what's your salary? It was huge. Is it the university you went to? How come you are earning this in 2 years after? He said, no, it's nothing to do with my degree. When I finished my degree, I did a 5-year online course on crypto security or something. And that's how I'm making my income. There are so many things young people can. There are so many online programs. You don't have to build. The problem that is doing us is of this to mop up the 2.5. Well, how many universities are you going to build? Can we afford it? You know, to build a school in Lagos, it's almost double what it costs in Abuja or in Kano because of the soil. Before you even get the school out of the soil, you would have built another school in another state because of the immersive nature. So how many schools are we going to build? How many universities are we going to build? How are we going to be accept that there are other solutions? But it's because we are not being creative in solving this problem.
So that brings us back to the issue of skill acquisition at every level of education in Nigeria. I know the president also talked about that every level of education should be attached to skill acquisition. So if we are not going to the university, do we have centers, enough centers to walk into to acquire these skills?
You don't need to build centers. I don't believe in building specialist centers. I believe that it should be part of the school. A primary school should be able to teach children certain basic skills. By the time they get to secondary school, they are able to acquire. Of course, you can also build polytechnics, technical colleges, but even a regular school, it should be made available. But don't forget that they are more expensive than normal schools. Okay, because you have to buy a lot of equipment, you have to buy a lot of consumables. So again, I haven't prepared. You see, when you say these things, every school should be teaching skill. I can say anything now. I can say it to how children should learn the skill, how children should graduate. But provide the provision for it, the planning for the implementation of it is what matters for me. I'm a practical person, and that's why you see that when people say things, I'm like, what are you talking about? Get your hands dirty, go and do the work. But not.
And let's see the results.
That's it. But when you just talk and say this, it's not going to work unless you put money behind it, fund it, support it, and assist and make a policy that will ensure that every child, I think every child in school in Nigeria should come out to the school. Every child, regardless. Then those who are more specialized can now go to technical colleges and polytechnics. You see, even if you are a mother in the house and you have your child, you are sorry for your child, you are able to do a lot of things with your child, you are able to cook all sorts of things. If the child has diarrhea, you know what to do. It makes more sense to me that the education system should support everybody so that they are able to live well and effectively.
Okay, thank you very much. During your tenure, you were the Commissioner for Basic Education, Tertiary Education. It was not divided.
It was divided. It was always divided. They just didn't call the other person commissioner.
Okay, but now we have the Commissioner for Basic Education and also have the Commissioner for Tertiary Education, different ministries, but under Ministry of Education.
No.
Okay,
The education ministry. When I was there, it was still not together because the SA education was in charge of tertiary education.
but not the Commissioner.
Not a government, but it's the same thing. He has a PS. It's a totally separate department. He did not pass things to me. He was not reporting to me.
But now we recognize him as the Commissioner for Tertiary Education.
And
the
the
other
nomenclature.
Okay,
That's not a change of nomenclature.
Okay.
It was always there.
Okay.
When I was Commissioner for Education, I was not dealing with tertiary institutions. I had nothing to do with it. It was basically this essay education. But
Then it was called an essay.
Then it was
not
not
a
an
commission.
essay.
Now, I want you to give one beautiful advice to the Commissioner for Basic Education now, and also the Commissioner for Tertiary Education.
I don't see what advice I can give. Focus and do your work.
Okay. Because we have different challenges loaded on the basic side and different challenges loaded on the tertiary institution.
I mean, if you focus, you have a vision of what you are doing and do your work. But as a leader, I don't do more than that. You get somewhere, you are focused, you have a vision. You have a vision. Why are you there? What do you want to achieve? So once you stay focused on that, do your work and manage distractions.
Yes. Another one, ma'am, which I really want you to educate us about. If you have the privilege of heading the education at the federal level as the Minister for Education, which are the 5 points that will be your priority?
I'm telling you, you don't have it. I'm a very radical person. I think that job is just strange. You see, when you understand Nigeria's educational sector, then you know that the states have a lot of power within their states to manage their education. The way things in the constitution, local government is responsible for primary education. The states are responsible for secondary education, or local government basic education. States for senior secondary, federal for tertiary. So that is why the things they say at tertiary, that is why they don't calculate, because the states have the power to decide what to do with their primary and secondary schools.
On their state universities and polytechnics?
No, those ones must get approval from federal.
Okay, before they perform.
Before they are open and so, yeah, because it's, like I said, it's under the federal. But as for the management of the other sectors, so as a person, somebody who is really focused on early years up to secondary, so I would always focus on. So at federal level, I think they have to shift their focus. I'm not in agreement that we should break it down like that, though I know that in most countries that's what they do. Basic primary education belongs to local government. Local government are local in the community, so it stands to reason that at the lowest level. But what I think federal needs to do is support it. So I think it's very important that whoever is the minister should really work with the commissioners. You should call them together and be working together. Let's have a common vision for education in this country. If he likes, he can say anything at that level. If the state doesn't want to do it, really cannot do it. Because the constitution is very clear about everybody's responsibilities. And the responsibility of the federal government is for the management of tertiary institutions. So maybe they can influence the state's tertiary institutions, but they cannot. That is where they really make good use of the NCC. So they work together and they have meetings concerning the curriculum because they are responsible for preparing the curriculum. But again, the curriculum is like a minimum standard. Any state should be able to do more than that. That's why I said we did our schemes of work. We changed it, we did a deep dive into it, and just agreed that it had to look a certain way. We have to include, we have to include things like critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, and so on into every class because these are new subjects. So we did it across 75 subjects, across early years of school. So I think that federal should really focus on working with the states in agreeing that we need to upgrade our curriculum, or to teach our children. for teachers, they've done a lot of policies and about teachers, which is great, but it's not being implemented by most states. Again, I think the federal minister needs to reach out and have a very good relationship with the commissioners, work with them on these policies, not a surface meeting. We have meetings now, but surface. So I think that's the most critical thing. Because when you do that, then you'll be able to influence what is happening in the classroom in every state. But as of now, they can't talk. The states have enough power to do what they want in their education system.
Thank you, ma. Ma, is there any particular thing, one particular thing that you would have loved to do when you were in office, but you did not do, you did not achieve? Okay, then let's go to the next question. What do you have to tell our parents? They have a vital role to play.
School is not a silo. School is part of the community, so therefore the parents are in that community, and they must influence school just like school must influence them as well. I think many parents seem to have attributed responsibility for the upbringing of their children, whether it's very rich children, very rich parents, or very poor parents. It's a whole gamut. It's everybody. The rich ones, we give them things, but we don't give them affection, we don't give them time, we don't give them proper discipline, training, and so forth. And the poorer ones too are struggling to make a living, and so may not also support them. But we've all got to sit down and say, this is the next generation. We have a big problem. We better focus on managing our children. I think we need to start doing parenting. When I was principal, I did parenting classes. Yeah, teach them to be good parents. Because I always say it, having children is mere biology. A dog can have children, a pig can have children. But having children and bringing them up is a human thing. It's a human, it's what makes us human. So that you just don't have a child to look after. Even those look after and train their children a little bit before they let them go. But here we are going to train the children like 20-something, like 20 years. So those 20 years that they are under the tutelage, you've got to learn how to bring them up well.
Mommy, is it not possible that we bring this parenting into part of a curriculum in the school so that we can all do our parenting?
That is the dichotomy that is existing between private schools and public schools. Especially the top private schools. There are many private schools I know that do parenting classes. Even before your child comes in, you decide that I'm going to be involved. I'm going to be coming for visiting day. I'm going to be coming for PTA meetings. I'm going to be coming on local days. I'm going to help my child with homework. I will not do the homework for the child, but I'll make sure it's a conducive environment where the child can do his or her homework. And we support the school. There are many schools that do that. And but that's the dichotomy. The whole thing is, that's why I said the work of the federal minister for education is not to be doing this like building schools and so. It's to bring everybody together on the same page and have a united vision for what we want schools to be about. If we start from every child who leaves our school, what would they be about? You'll be surprised. And we look at that vision and we concentrate our efforts on building it. One of the first things I did in Lagos State was we had a whole brainstorming session. When a child leaves us, what should we be like? After primary school, after secondary school. You don't just say it. As a parent too, when your child is good up, that's why we said, why am I working? Why not work? I don't want my children to look after me. I have brought them up. They better look after themselves. I'm not looking after their children. They better bring up their children with their own principles. The principles that I hope I taught them and they invite. If you bring up your child well, if you have a vision, but I had a vision. I also had a vision in bringing up these children. So also, if the state is able to have a vision, this is what every child should be like. What you now do is you design an educational system that will ensure that you get that child. When you say I want it to be God-fearing, and you yourself you are doing bad things, it's not going to be God-fearing, it's going to be cynical. When you say I want the child to be disciplined and well-behaved, well, how? When you yourself are badly behaved. When you say we want our children to be clever, to be critical thinkers, problem solvers, to be creative, when you yourself are not creative, you have to. So it's a whole societal thing. School is part of society. You just have to look at society as it. Honestly.
Thank you, ma. I will let you be after this last question.
Okay.
Yes, for our youths on the streets, the unemployed ones,
Yeah.
we have so many of them on the streets. What do you have to tell them?
What do you want them to do? Is it their fault? What do you want them to do? The education system we have is not preparing them for the reality of the life they are going to live. When you leave school, they have no skills, they have no education, some cannot read. What do you want them to do? We have to address our educational system. For them, I would say, what I always tell young people is, look, you have to be creative about yourself. It's your life now, at the end of the day. Government is bad, schools are bad, adults are bad, blah, blah, blah. It's your life. So how are you going to tell them about your life? So it's time to look inward and say, what are my strengths? What are my strengths as a human being? And try and look for ways by which you can palliate that strength. It's not by begging, misbehaving on the streets and so on. I worked in Oshogo for 1.5 years, and some of my students, parents, but can't compare them to Lagos. We have no funds at all to do anything. These children taught themselves trade. One or two learned to work in the shop, went to work in the market, and so to save money, to send themselves to a proper place where they can
Self-bringing.
Yes, self. Because now you have to look inward and say, what can I do for myself as a human being? I'm sorry society has failed them. And society has, let's not deceive ourselves about that. We failed them. Send them out into the world with nothing. But now, that's all gone. You know how to look at yourself.
Thank you very much, ma. This has been my beautiful moment with Mrs. Folasade Adefisayo, the immediate past Commissioner for Education, Lagos State. I have not taken this moment for granted, ma. I do appreciate your time. Thank you, ma.
Thank you.